Steinar, an incredibly decorated battler from Brazil. Unbelievable talent. Great results as well. And for Zzweilous. Zzweilous always seems to be at his best when the lights are brightest. Constant top performances at international championships. I cannot wait.
These two trainers are getting locked in and ready to go. We are excited for our winners finals. Remember, we have moved into the stage of the competition where we are best of 5 here today, and we are going to see which of the flying type Pokemon are going to be the best, because we have our final remaining Corviknight on stage in plush form, but also on Zzweilous' team. This is a wonderful lead for Steinar. Charjabug does not like getting hit by these smackdowns. ZZ looking to maybe build up a little bit of energy.
This is catastrophic for Zzweilous, banking all the energy, sending in Credilli, and Credilli will immediately get hit with the Stone Edge. Instant no shield from Zzweilous. If Zzweilous is gonna find a way to survive such a difficult lead matchup, it's going to be with very careful energy management. Double X scissors loaded on the Charjabug. Steinar decides to chip with the Stone Edge and now send his Credilli into the mirror. His Credilli is going to be slightly behind on energy, but will look to go for the Rock Tomb.
I see our switch timers are coming up. That 45-second switch timer is crazy and can be so impactful in these matchups. Zzweilous, after this charge attack, will be able to switch out if he so chooses. Also lurking in the back is that Corviknight, which could have, could be a little bit of an advantage against that Bastiodon.
Rock Tomb launched at Zzweilous. He shielded once. He's not going to be shielding again. This Rock Tomb will connect, but with all the debuffs, that does not do a lot of damage. Zzweilous gets to another Rock Tomb, and now Steinar has to decide, is it worth investing in the Credilli? Steinar says no, and switch advantage has been won by Zzweilous.
Ooh, Steinar deciding to bring the Moltres in, giving it a 3 Sucker Punch energy advantage. That could be devastating, but the Charjabug comes in, having energy from before. That Charjabug stood tall against the Bastiodon for just long enough to be able to bank some energy, banking not 1, but 2 discharges. We saw Charjabug earlier fully farm down a Galarian Moltres, so we know this is exactly the matchup it's looking for.
Steinar puts up both shields, will throw the fly right before the next discharge is available. Zzweilous will invest the final protect shield of the match here, as the discharge should now be available. Does Steinar try and go for the catch? Steinar waits. ZZ waits. He saves the discharge. In comes the Corviknight. Corviknight will take super effective damage from the flamethrower, but it's taking double super effective damage from these sand attacks.
Sand attack is known for being really quick. It helps Corviknight to pace really quickly, and it is slowly going to be chipping away at Bastiodon, and Corviknight being able to have that payback to be able to deal a little bit more heavy damage when paired with that air cutter. Bastiodon, though, that is a wall to so much energy. Look at all those sand attacks chipping away.
Oh my, Bastiodon cannot make it to the flamethrower. Payback will be taking the KO, but Charjabug, it has a charge attack loaded, but discharge is a weak attack. In comes the Moltres. Moltres goes for the fly, and now Zzweilous needs this discharge to be able to pick up the knockout. Volt Switch does so much damage. ZZ shaking his head. He doesn't think it's going to be enough. In comes Charjabug. Discharge, maybe if he can survive the sucker punches to get another Volt Switch off. The discharge lands. It does not KO. Can he survive? No, he cannot. And Steinar takes the Game 1 win in dramatic fashion.
Steinar felt so cool and collected, already kind of going to his notes, thinking about Game 2. He's like, nah, I got this. I am not concerned.
I am amazed by Zzweilous' ability to make a game that started with a Bastiodon lead into a Charjabug Credilli core as close as he was able to make it. That was brilliantly played by Zzweilous. And Charjabug, Volt Switch is so good, but it feels like in that end game, he was a little bit let down by Discharge. Discharge, it's a very cheap attack. You can get to it so quickly, but unfortunately, it does not do much in terms of damage.
Zzweilous is usually able to manufacture win conditions just out of complete thin air. And the win condition he tried to manufacture was building up a bunch of energy on the Charger Bug. So when it came in to the matchup later, even though it had to sit through several Bastiodon smackdowns, was able to come in later with energy, but it just wasn't enough. Was able to throw this discharge, but needed at least another Volt Switch to land and just could barely not survive long enough.
We've got lock-ins. Game number 2. It's the battle of the rock types. Bastiodon rumbles onto the field, and it finds a target in Credilli. Credilli has a significant pacing advantage. Zzweilous farming up so much energy. Zzweilous going for the grass knot, but Bastiodon, the smackdowns add up a lot. It's very slow to get the charge attacks, but with the fast move pressure, it can definitely make its presence felt.
I'm really curious about this adjustment from Steinar coming off of the win, bringing in the Shadow Annihilate. Thankfully for Zzweilous, the Credilli has found the Bastiodon instead, but we see a quick switch out into Corviknight. What is going to come to meet it? Looks like we're going to see a little bit of chip from the Bastiodon. ZZ putting up a Protect Shield.
If Corviknight is answered with Credilli, Credilli is a very convincing answer to Corviknight. The Corviknight is up energy, which could help Zzweilous quite a bit, because being able to threaten a payback before Rock Tomb lands is a big, big help. Steinar letting it go, saying even though payback is a very efficient charge attack, I am not worried. The payback lands, doesn't even do half, and now Corviknight will immediately get debuffed, meaning that a second payback should not come close to picking up a KO.
Corviknight still stands tall, flies strong in the air up against the Credilli, has a ton of energy and a catch. So the Corviknight has it looked like it had just about 2 air cutters banked for later or a payback to do a significant amount of damage. There we have no farm down potential available. Steinar opting to knock out the Credilli. Perhaps Zzweilous able to get a little bit more energy on his Corviknight, or even a Volt Switch advantage on Charger Bug.
Charger Bug has yet to be revealed in this game, so Zzweilous is now weighing, do I want to show my third? And Zzweilous says no, able to get the farm down. These air cutters will be very threatening to the Annihilate, so this forces the Bastiodon onto the field, but this is actually advantageous for Zzweilous, as Zzweilous would rather get the Bastiodon low, because if Bastiodon can get out of the way, then it's looking pretty good for the Charger Bug. In comes Annihilate, instant air cutter from Zzweilous, and just like that, the shields are equalized at 1 apiece.
And we're going to see the Charger Bug come in. Charger Bug actually gets to resist the counters from the Annihilate, but it's just a little bit slow on pacing. And Annihilate is going to be using those Rage Fists to try to bump up its attack. First Rage Fist comes through, taking Charger Bug down to half health. Charger Bug throws 1 Volt Switch, 2, it has 2 attacks locked and loaded, 1 discharge potentially to take a shield. Let's see, will Steinar give it up? He says no.
Steinar survives. Can he get to the Rage Fist? Yes, he can! Zzweilous did not throw the discharge, went for the Volt Switch instead. Rage Fist will pick up the knockout. Zzweilous is leaving it all up to Corviknight. The counter lands. That is big damage. And now, can Bastiodon smack down the Corviknight? This is going to be a race to the finish. Corviknight goes for the air cutter, but the mistime from Zzweilous and a smackdown sneaks for free.
Zzweilous shaking his head, recognizing that he just doesn't have enough health on the Corviknight. It did its best, but Bastiodon is just showing up to be too powerful. It's too defensive. It's too strong. Bastiodon is back in the meta in a big way from Steinar. That was a 2-win victory. Can Zzweilous flip it around? He needs to come back and win 3 in a row to be able to take down Steinar. Can ZZ shake this off?
Back into this game number 2, Zzweilous with the snipe attempt, trying to take the knockout with the grass knot, but the damage fell just short. Lost the Credilli energy. Corviknight not revealing the Charger Bug proved to be a very nice play, but as has been a continuous theme, Charger Bug, Volt Switch, so good, but Discharge, so underwhelming, failing the knockout. Charger Bug gets KO'd as a result, and now Steinar's up 2-0.
And Steiner, I feel, just has like a great game plan. He can bring the Bastiodon, which has great play into ZZ's team. What counters the Bastiodon hardest? That would be Zzweilous' Gastrodon. Steiner has just been building double strong or double, like, at least neutral into a potential Gastrodon swap.
We've got lock-ins, game number 3, and it's like looking in a mirror. Galarian Corsola into Galarian Corsola for Steiner. Steiner has the 2 rock types in the back, Bastiodon and Cradily, but Zzweilous has that Gastrodon, and Gastrodon would love to see that Bastiodon.
What I was just saying, what is ZZ's hardest counter? His best check to that Bastiodon is Gastrodon, and that Gastrodon needs to find the Bastiodon. It cannot find the Cradily in the back.
Zzweilous opts to no shield. There's a safe switch into the Corviknight. Steiner, does he bring in the Bastiodon or does he bring in the Cradily? Brings in the Cradily, and suddenly the tides may have turned as Zzweilous, by baiting out this Cradily, could set up the Gastrodon to reverse sweep in this endgame.
I am looking forward to it. I think you and I both, we love LNDsTSteinar, but we want to see that Bastiodon take a little bit of damage during a game here. So we are going to see, we see the Rock Tomb land on the Corviknight, bringing down its attack. Corviknight does have the option to boost its attack up a little bit with Air Cutter, but instead going for the payback, going for the heavier hitting attack.
Payback will connect. Quick switch by Zzweilous, sending in the Galarian Corsola. Corsola is able to force the energy from the Cradily. Zzweilous happy to let this go. Got some very valuable damage. Could this potentially set up a big farm down for that Corviknight Sand Attack? It's not known for its damage in neutral matchups, but the Cradily, I believe, threw its energy instantly. Zzweilous waiting down the switch timer. No, it's Gastrodon. Gastrodon is going to get a 2 Mud Slap head start. Steiner has to bring in the Corsola. Corsola does have a lot of loaded energy, but this Gastrodon is looking so scary. Zzweilous doesn't know it yet, but Gastrodon's target, Bastiodon, is going to be Steiner's final Pokemon.
Zzweilous has to keep the Gastrodon healthy. He has to keep it healthy. He cannot allow, he has to keep it healthy. He had to use the Protect Shield early. Steiner pulling both Protect Shields. This could be a clue to Zzweilous as to what is in the back. He needs this Gastrodon healthy for the Bastiodon matchup.
And Zzweilous recognizes it, putting up the final Protect Shield. Steiner, his switch clock is up, but you don't want to switch a Bastiodon into a Gastrodon. Gastrodon looking for the farm down, not gonna get it. There's the switch into the Bastiodon. Bastiodon will still be taking super effective damage from this Water Pulse. Water Pulse lands, and watch these Mud Slaps. Look at Gastrodon go, those Mud Slaps shredding the Bastiodon's health bar. Bastiodon desperately trying to make it to a Stone Edge, but it simply cannot get there. Zzweilous, well-timed Water Pulse will be knocking out that Bastiodon as Zzweilous looks to gain back control of this series.
And throwing a body slam into a 1 HP Corsola. That is exactly what ZZ is about to do. Showing that Bastiodon who is boss. You typically, do you know where you find fossils? You find it deep underneath the ground. And that is how that Gastrodon ended up with that Bastiodon, just burying it in mud.
Steiner has brought Bastiodon all 3 games. It is very strong in this matchup. Does he decide to make an adjustment in game number 4? Finally decided to not lead it, put it in the back, and it ended up getting punished as a result. But if you brought Bastiodon 3 times, this could put pressure on Zzweilous, feeling like he has to bring the Gastrodon. So Steiner could potentially look to try and counter the Gastrodon and maybe leave that Bastiodon on the bench, or does he stay with his guns, bring that Bastiodon, and trust that Bastiodon will find the alignment it's looking for?
It's hard not to bring Bastiodon when it's done so well for you throughout the entire tournament run. I feel like overall, 2 games out of 3, Steiner's strategy of just bringing the Bastiodon and bringing 2 Pokemon that can reasonably counter the Gastrodon in the back has worked out pretty well for him. So Steiner bringing Bastiodon again. We see the Corsola trying to do its best, trying to weaken this Gastrodon. However, it is not enough. And we have our game 4 lock-in in the winners finals. Cradily versus Corsola. The Bastiodon is nowhere to be found, which brings up a lot of places for that Charjabug to go.
Bastiodon on the bench. The Gastrodon scared it away, and Zzweilous benching that Gastrodon. Rock Tomb connects. There's the save switch by Steiner, saving that Corsola energy, bringing in his own Credilli. Zzweilous will look to debuff, throwing an instant Rock Tomb. Steinar with the no shield. This does desync the switch timers, but applying a debuff can be very valuable. Zzweilous opting to stay in this matchup, not gonna pivot out just yet. Rock Tomb thrown by Steiner, no shield by Zzweilous, and that Corsola gets to stay in the back. It's debuff reset with a full Nightshade locked and loaded.
Now we know, we have all the information, we can see the cards on the table. ZZ doesn't know it yet that the Bastiodon's nowhere to be found. So he kind of needs to hide that Charjabug just in case the Bastiodon were to come out. So I don't know if I'm gonna see the Charjabug come in quite yet.
Rock Tomb will pick up the KO. Zzweilous surrendering switch advantage. In comes Corviknight. There's the pivot into Annihilate. Annihilate answered with this Charjabug. Charjabug trying to get to the discharge, but with the energy advantage that Annihilate has, Annihilate gets the strike first with the Rage Fist. Rage Fist, it is a very powerful attack, but what Charjabug does not have in discharge damage, it makes up for with amazing bulk.
It has 2 discharges ready to go. The first discharge is going to draw the Protect Shield from LNDsTSteinar on the Annihilate. Charjabug very happy to find the Annihilate and not a Bastiodon, not a hard counter to it in the back. Charjabug launching the second discharge, pulling both Protect Shields away from Annihilate.
Oh,
Charjabug
wow.
not gonna get to another attack. Look, Shadow Annihilate with all that energy.
Annihilate on a rampage. It's boosted. It counters down the bug type. Bastiodon on the bench, but Annihilate, absolute devastation. Getting to the Rage Fist. Zzweilous forced to go for a double shield. And if Zzweilous attempts to go for a farm down, these triple boosted counters will be deadly. Look at the counters. Zzweilous realizes he cannot take the damage. Forced to go for the air cutter. Can Zzweilous get the air cutter boost on this Corviknight?
I heard it. I heard the noise. That is an air cutter boost. Corviknight really looking to get to the payback, but Corviknight doesn't quite get there. Steiner throwing an attack instead, throwing the Nightshade. It lands for neutral damage, and is Zzweilous able to get to the payback.
Payback, this is boosted. It's super effective damage. Corsola is not going to hang on. It gets knocked out. In comes Credilli. Credilli trying to get to the Rock Tomb. It does not get there. Zzweilous gets the equalizer, and we're going to a decisive game number 5 in the winners finals.
Zzweilous saw the Bastiodon lead twice in a row and maybe shook up LNDsTSteinar by taking it down, winning 2 games in a row. Steiner benched the Bastiodon, but that wasn't enough to win the game. Instead, bringing out some of his other Pokemon. Who is gonna win this next matchup? The momentum, the tides have shifted over to ZZ.
This matchup felt like it turned on that air cutter boost, boosting up the sand attack damage. When Annihilate was able to counter farm down the Charjabug, this game looked like it was over because Annihilate would be so threatening to that Corviknight, but Zzweilous with a very precise overfarm, knocking out with the air cutter. Air cutter boosting up the Corviknight's attack, knocking out the Brave Bird, and then knocking out the Corsola with a payback, and then able to take the win by farming down Credilli.
This has been so exciting. We are in game 5 of the winners finals. The loser is gonna go down to face Dunebug in losers finals. The winner has a guaranteed top 2 spot in grands. We have a lock-in. We have Corsola into Credilli.
And LNDsTSteinar has decided to bench the Bastiodon once again. The Corsola in the back for Zzweilous does look quite strong. Immediate Rock Tomb from Zzweilous. Steiner has shown that he does like to bank this energy and switch out for later. So will we see the switch out, or does he stay in? He is going to be switching out. In comes Credilli, saving that energy for later. The Annihilate in the back. Zzweilous does not know it yet, but Steiner has to be very careful because Corsola onto Annihilate would be devastating.
Rock Tomb lands onto the opposing Credilli. ZZ has an opportunity to switch out if he so chooses, but instead is staying in this matchup, allowing his own Credilli to have the attack debuff instead. Here's the switch out into the Corsola. Switch timers misaligned. Steinar is going to be able to switch out shortly after this charge attack is thrown.
This Rock Tomb, it's debuffed. It's not about the damage. It's about getting a debuff applied and just looking to burn this switch timer. Switch clock is available, and there it is. That looked to be a CMP sack swap, catching this debuffed Nightshade while going for the full power Nightshade as well.
And the next Nightshade is coming through. Will Zzweilous choose to block it with a Protect Shield? He does, reducing all of that damage down to 1 with a Protect Shield. And ZZ is going to opt. He cannot quite make a farm down, recognizes it, and throws the Nightshade instead.
Steinar puts up the shield. Steinar desperately trying to KO this Corsola, but Corsola gets to escape. It dances off the field. In comes Corviknight, and Corviknight not going to be worried about Nightshade landing whatsoever.
And this allows Annihilate to come in. Those counters are going to really start to threaten once the Rage Fists start to apply, but ZZ has an Air Cutter. It is not boosted up yet, so LNDsTSteinar allowing his Annihilate to get a little bit lower. Air Cutter almost there, but Annihilate able to go first.
This is a charge attack priority tie. Annihilate, Rage Fist is going to be shielded by the Corviknight. Corviknight will go for the Air Cutter. Annihilate gets the guaranteed boost. Corviknight only has the chance to boost up its attack. Switch timer is available for Zzweilous. There's the switch into Corsola, but it does not get the farm down. Annihilate holds on, making the last second Rage Fist, and that's going to be knocking out that Corsola.
This is tough for ZZ. Neither of his Pokemon want to take that last counter from the Annihilate. Will it be the Corviknight? Will it be the Credilli? It will be the Credilli. Look at how much damage that singular counter did. We are down to the last couple attacks. All attacks will be thrown. All attacks will land. There are no shields remaining.
Great play by Zzweilous. 2 acids and the Rock Tomb, so the second Astonish does not register. It's going to be very, very close. Steinar needs the perfect overfarm. It's going to be a catch by Zzweilous of the Rock Tomb. Steinar going to need a perfect undercharge, only going to hit a few bubbles. The Rock Tomb lands. It's too much of an undercharge. He cannot get the double up that he needs. Zzweilous gets the Air Cutter. He's done it. The reverse sweep. Digging deep, shining brightest when it matters the most, and Zzweilous is on to the grand finals.
Zzweilous winning 3 games in a row. Saw that Bastiodon game after game, and then found a way to stop it. Shook up Steinar, holding the Corviknight proud there at the end.